Hela is hella hard, but you can still get 5,000 points out of it, as long as you understand its mechanics. First, let's look at the boss modifiers. We're going to be using level 90 as the base. For the basic options, turn off timer, enemy HP increase, and squad attack decrease. For additional options, turn off decreasing ballistic damage and deal less damage when the full squad's HP is higher than 50%. For the boss mechanic, I highly recommend turning off both launching additional large homing projectile fragments when firing homing missiles, and upgraded its full screen laser to deal damage and knock away. For the actual homing missile, it looks like this. The base attack already demands around 3 to 4 dodges, the additional homing missiles make it even worse and very difficult to dodge. For the laser attack, the wording is kinda misleading because the attack itself is already full screen. The options simply add a tons of damage to it, and depends on your level, it could be fatal. If you're using kinetic DPS, also turn off kinetic resistance. In exchange, turn on either 15% enemy HP increase or 12% squad attack increase. For perspective, I'm doing about 20% increased damage when I turn on the 12% decreased attack instead of 25% increased kinetic resistance. Alright, time to talk about the boss. There are two general rules I follow in this boss fight. The first one is avoid running too much. Some of the boss's attack will need 3 to 4 dodges in a row to actually fully avoid, and having full stamina bar is important when the boss uses those attacks. The second one is dodging toward the boss. The missile the boss launches all exploding a large AoE once they hit the ground, and since the attacks are aiming at your body, it will land behind you when you dodge it. Dodging forward moves you further away from the AoE, helping you to avoid its damage. Now onto the attack patterns. The boss has 2 breakable launchers, and on the left is its minigun. This attack has very high spread, making running out of it very difficult. It is best to hide behind pillars to avoid this damage, and keep an eye on the boss when you hide behind it, because his next attack can happen right as the minigun finishes and catch you by surprise. The other launcher will do 3 mega lasers towards you, doing massive damage if it hits. It's very easy to avoid just rolling toward it and to the side, even rolling through it using iframe. Next up is the stomp attack. The stomp attack will generate a ground AoE that you can walk into or take damage. A 3-wave bullets held on the ground which you should dodge by either just walking it off or roll directly toward him. The boss will sometimes shoot lasers out of his head and do a full screen AoE. You can iframe this completely by just rolling, and usually I roll twice for this, but without option enabled, it barely does anything other than a small stun. This is followed up by a few homing missiles, which you usually get away with rolling twice. On the other hand, this also lands a lot of AoE on the ground. There's going to be those swirl looking things on the ground you should avoid. They do quite a hefty amount of damage if you get too close. One of the most annoying moves it does is where it launches a tons of missile out of its shoulder. Depends on the RNG and your timing, this can take 3 to 4 rolls to avoid. Remember to roll toward the boss for better results. Sometimes the boss will just start walking at you, and once it gets close enough, it will do a quick slap. You will need to do a perfect dodge roll to actually avoid it, but if you keep running, it might just take a boss a while to chase you, and sometimes it will even give up the chase and do a different attack. If you have the option enabled, a purple bullet hell happens in the air, but it's not homing and poses almost no threat to you. The final move I want to talk about is not an attack, rather it's a phase transition. When the boss HP goes below 60%, the boss will begin summoning enemies. 2 of those enemies are ranged snipers. There are 2 ways to deal with this. One way is to kill the sniper enemies once they are summoned and kite the melee ones. The boss will try to summon every minute or so after it enters the phase 2 if you have killed enough of the mobs. But if you keep the majority of its summons alive, it will not attempt to summon again, which means you can just take care of the sniper and start running. Now the other way is you can disable this move by breaking the boss's back. Most people probably don't even know this, but the boss has a special part on his back. You can usually only get to that part by staggering the boss. Now before you go, I'd like to talk about the first 2 priorities of this fight. One is to break the machine gun. Out of all the moves the boss has, I find this to be the most difficult to avoid. The thing with this attack is that due to how wide the sprite is and how long it lasts, it's almost impossible to fully avoid it without a pillar. And the boss is really good at destroying pillars. So you better break it before the boss finishes destroying the pillars, or otherwise you could be in trouble. The other is to break his back. Of course I was talking about the summons. Depends on if there are ground AoE on the field, I would either use sniper from far away or shotgun from close up to break one of his limbs, stagger the boss, and then get onto his back. Once you break his back, you can pretty much just keep avoiding while doing damage and the boss is dead. Well, that's all for the HELA boss. This has been Steambags. Thanks for watching, good luck with your attempts, and I will see you in the next video.